Hey there, and welcome. So, today we are diving into a really radical idea from Friedrich Nietzsche. It's all about work, boredom, and how our frantic, constant need to stay busy might actually be the very thing holding us back from our true potential. You know that feeling, right? That little pang of anxiety when you have a moment of stillness. That urge to just grab your phone, check an email, or, well, just do something. Anything. But what if that fear isn't just about wasting time? What if, deep down, it's a fear of ourselves? Well, over a century ago, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche gave a pretty profound answer to that question in a short piece he called Work and Ennui. And he argued that our modern obsession with being busy, it's basically a defense mechanism. It's a way we desperately run away from our own thoughts, from the disgust of having to really look at ourselves. To really get this, Nietzsche lays out two kinds of people. So first, let's look at the one that pretty much defines our modern world, what he calls the laborious man, who finds his whole identity in the constant escape that work provides. I mean, just think about it. We celebrate hustle culture, right? Being busy is a badge of honor. Nietzsche saw this coming. He pointed out that we've turned work into this ultimate virtue, while we treat boredom, or ennui, as if it's something deeply wrong, something to be viewed with, in his words, a wicked suspicion. So what's really going on here? What's driving all this frantic activity? Nietzsche has a term for it: intellectual poverty. And look, this isn't about not being smart. It's about having an inner world that's so empty, so barren, that you just can't stand to be alone in it. That inner silence is just deafening, so you'll do anything to fill it, no matter how trivial the task. You see, this desperate need to own every second, to control and schedule every single moment, Nietzsche says that's not a sign of productivity. He saw it as a symptom of a shriveled spirit, a spirit that just can't handle the wide open space and the distance you need for real, deep contemplation. But, okay, there is another way. Nietzsche contrasts that laborious man with what he calls the noble soul. And this is an individual who doesn't run from idleness, but actually finds incredible strength inside of it. And this is where the whole idea of ennui, or boredom, gets a complete makeover. For the noble soul, boredom isn't empty space. No, it's a dangerous vacuum, a holy quiet. It's the fertile ground where the seeds of a truly massive or magnanimous eruption of creativity can finally start to grow. It's really the calm before the creative storm. So you get this direct showdown in how they see work. For the laborious man, it's just a tool, right? It's a way to make money, to kill time, to avoid thinking. But for the noble soul, work is something else entirely. It has to be this joyful expression of their inner force, their will to power. And the difference is even more obvious when you look at leisure. The laborious person, when they're not working, they feel ashamed, maybe even disgusted with themselves. The noble person, though, they get it. They understand that leisure isn't laziness. It is a dignified, essential state where their very best qualities are actually born and nurtured. Okay, so if this noble path is so powerful, why is it so rare? Well, Nietzsche argues it's because society itself is actively fighting against it. There's a systematic, full-on war against idleness. He points the finger directly at what he calls the teachers of morality. The big cultural forces that are constantly telling us that idleness is evil. And why would they do that? Simple. A population that is always busy is easy to manage. A predictable, productive herd just doesn't have the time to ask tough questions or challenge anything. The whole thing is like a kind of social theater. And on this stage, the busy worker gets the grand prize of dignity, while the person who dares to take time to just think, they're made to feel shame. Society will reward the sweat on your brow way more than it will reward the insight in your mind. And Nietzsche goes even deeper, getting to the really big existential stakes. He suggests that in our modern secular age, what he famously called the death of God, work has become our new religion. Without that bigger, divine purpose, endless labor becomes the ultimate distraction from the terrifying idea that maybe, just maybe, our existence is meaningless. But here's the thing. We don't have to be trapped in this cycle. Nietzsche's analysis isn't just a downer. It's actually an invitation. It shows us a path we can take to reclaim the power of creative boredom for ourselves. So how do you actually do it? Well, first, you have to learn to just sit with that uncomfortable emptiness, to endure that dangerous vacuum. Then you start to practice real contemplation, creating some distance from the daily grind. And then you wait, not just passively, but with this focused readiness for your inner drive, your will to power, to really build up. And when it's ready, you unleash it in a powerful, creative storm. And this leads us to a really crucial shift in how we measure our lives. It's not about the quantity of your labor, not the hours you clock in or the number of tasks you check off a list. According to this way of thinking, the real measure, the true object of existence, is the quality and the sheer power of your creative eruptions. And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. Real power, it isn't about controlling your schedule or managing a team. The highest sense of power is internal. It is the strength to be quiet, to be still, and to wait for that perfect moment when your own authentic drive demands to be expressed in a powerful, noble eruption. And that leaves us with one final big question to ask ourselves. When you look at your own life, at your own work, are you using it to run away from yourself, or is it a genuine expression of that powerful creative force that's inside you? Is your work an escape, or is it an eruption?